I started off wanting to manage a business, and Bob was going to make the guitars. Well, you know what? There's no money to pay someone to manage that business. The only money that's there is to pay the people to make the guitars. And anything else that you do, the sales, the bookkeeping, ordering, that has to be done in the evening, in the weekend. That was one of the revelations we had, that we finally started getting on our feet a little bit, was just cutting all the way back to doing the work ourselves, because then we could pay ourselves. So I had to sell all the guitars, and I did all the accounting and all the bookkeeping, and I also packed and shipped all the guitars, and I also did all the receiving. So you're putting on different hats, and the hard part is, at least for me, was bookkeeping is kind of an introverting thing, doing double entry accounting. And then you have to switch and be extroverted, and how are you doing, Mr. Guitar Shop owner? We had the misconception that, for me, that I could actually be a manager and sell the guitars and do the bookkeeping without working on guitars. So we denied ourselves the ability to actually make a living, I think. I would change that right off the bat. I'd also figure out how to somehow get the money together to be out on the road more, to open up more stores to sell our guitars. Because we took a big hit during this period where we worked with a distributor and had to sell our guitars to them for less. And we did that because we didn't have the resources for me or Bob or any of us to get out and travel to other states, to be able to call on music stores to hopefully persuade them to sell our guitars. We went through periods where we were very, very broke, and we could have used investments, and people offered to invest in the business. But we wanted to guard that trust Bob and I had with each other. Not only easier to make decisions, but we had the same goals and the same purposes. We didn't want to take on another investor, even though we needed the money, because we didn't want them with another idea about what we should be doing with the business. We didn't want the tension of doing that. And you don't want one person or two people to overrule another person. It's like in a marriage, you don't want one person to make all the decisions and the other person just be overwhelmed all the time. That's not any kind of a relationship. People would come in all day long to drop off repair work, and they'd interrupt us, and we had to focus on figuring out how to make guitars, and we couldn't get anything done. So Bob and I thought, well, we're going to have to take the plunge here and make a risky decision and decide not to do repair work and cut off that source of income, to focus on making guitars, because we know that's the future. You make guitars, you sell them, you collect the money. It really is that simple. It doesn't have to be overly complicated the way it seemed to be. If you don't get cash flow figured out, you're not going to be able to stay in business. This is the most important thing. You only have so much money. You have to find what's the smartest way to deploy that money, to use that resource. And that's really the challenge all along. We were so broke that we couldn't pay ourselves. We finally started paying ourselves $15 a week for gas. And we thought, well, okay, we'll increase it every week until we get to a point where we can't pay ourselves more. And so we did that until we got to $85 a week. And couldn't go beyond the $85 a week. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We had no idea how hard this was going to be. All we knew was that we were excited about being in business. We wanted to make guitars. We thought maybe someday we can be as big as Martin, who's kind of the standard of a good acoustic guitar. They're our main competitor now. Some of the people that work for Taylor Guitars are here, and they frequently say, "Thank you for not quitting." And really, the thank you for not quitting part has to do with the Lemon Grove years. It has to do with that, because not quitting and being smart can get you to where you can make a living and you have a nice little business. Not quitting doesn't have to do a whole lot to do with going from $400,000 to $107 million a year in revenue. It was really, really hard, and the things that would keep us going would be little successes along the way. Like all of a sudden, one night, seeing someone on TV playing a Taylor guitar. And, that happens all the time now. Every other guitar in American Idol is a Taylor guitar. Back then, the acoustic guitar market was lousy, and we were unknown too, so you'd never see a Taylor guitar on TV. So something like that. One of those years, one of those months, when we rolled around the first of the month, rent was due and we couldn't pay it. Someone stopped by on a late Friday and ordered a custom guitar and bought one and wrote us a check for $1,838, just when we needed it. And it was Charlie C. from the C's Candy family. He was like the grandson or something, and he'd heard about our guitars, so he came down. So just those little things to keep the hope alive while you keep going. And we didn't want to quit and then go work for someone else and give up on our dream. I mean, we would have had to have lived with that for the rest of our lives. And having to explain to people why we quit when they all thought, you know, oh, you guys are doing so good. You know, people from the outside, oh, how many people are working for you now? Attaboy, you know, you guys are doing great. Little did they know, you know, we were 2 years behind on bills. So we didn't want to have to explain it to people either. If you have stable cash flow and you're profitable and you can pay yourselves regularly, meaning the owners and any employees, pay your taxes too, and reinvest a little bit of money in the business, congratulations, you have arrived. And that's what it took us till 1987 to achieve. It took to that point to reach that point. And that was the point where Bob and I were able to pay ourselves every week. We no longer had 6 paychecks in our wallet that we couldn't deposit. And really it took that long, and we were then doing $400,000 a year worth of business. And we could pay ourselves about $20,000 a year, I think. That's what it took to get. And that could be a nice business. And depending on what your ambitions are, that could be a nice business. Not everybody wants a big business. Some people want a smaller, comfortable business. That could be a really nice sized business, and you can make a living doing that. Our present headcount's around 850 people, and we produce nearly 700 guitars a day. The company generated $107 million in revenue last year. And the company, I told you about all the hard times we went through. The company became debt-free in 2010, and is still 100% owned by me and Bob.